Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another round of the oNiD 100 series. A bit of a change, obviously. This week we are at Spa, in what looks like a dark Spa. We'll have a look at the track temps at the moment, but firstly, a big change this week is I'm joined by the fabulous Alex Parkin tonight. Welcome, Alex. Usually racing, but obviously tonight you've kindly volunteered to help us in the comm booth.
Well, I feel that's a big bill in Sam, but yeah, did Spa 20 minutes practice yesterday. Didn't like it, so I thought, why not step up and save myself from sweating away on the wheel for 100 minutes tonight.
Yeah, and sweating you would be with the temperature it is in the real world tonight, obviously. For us a lot in the UK, I don't know what it is like abroad, but it's really quite a swelter at the moment with the sun and the humidity. So yeah, 100 plus minutes, obviously not including qualifying. Just it'd be incredible. Especially a Spa is quite a physical track as well, obviously. It's a long lap anyway, but you know, going through oNiD, Radion, some of the faster corners as well, and it's really a lot of force, you know, you're outputting.
Yeah, for sure. You've got those two long, well, one's a straight, one's kind of straight, but other than that, you don't get much rest on this lap, and it's a long old lap, 2.5 minutes nearly. Yeah, it will take out you over a 100-minute race like we've got tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, we're also straight off the back of the 24 hours of Spa, so if you haven't had enough Spa this weekend, everyone, you've now got 100 more minutes of Spa.
Yeah, exactly. Very good point. I am trying to get the track map working in the background. Doesn't seem to be cooperating. We've got Limblom, I believe, joining us in chat as well. Welcome, Parkin. Where's my grid buddy? He says. It's over here.
Yeah, sorry, Daniel. I enjoy our battles, but like I just said, it's very hot. I'm very annoyed at last week still, and yeah, I'll leave you all to struggle around Spa.
Yeah. So looking like drivers have completed their long outlap onto their first flying lap. We'll stick with Johnny Ashley for now in that BMW, that famed BMW for top end speed as well, I believe. I think you drive the Ferrari typically, correct me if I'm mistaken, which is the other end of the scale, I think, isn't it? It's kind of, you know, great in terms of acceleration, I think, but top speed is where it's lacking.
Yeah, it did feel like that round Le Mans. It was a bit of a sit and duck on the straights no matter what it did, but yeah, not too bad in the corners. yeah, Daniel, you've thrown yourself at the deep end. Hot weather, tough track, first laps in LMU for 3 weeks. Hopefully you had a good holiday, or was it work? I can't quite remember. And Cotty joining us as well. Good to have you all with us as we go on board with Johnny Ashley.
Yeah, we go on board just to see. I'm trying to see if we can see his Delta. Once his hand gets out of the way, I can't see anything, but again, I say Delta, it's his first flying lap. What am I talking about? So we'll go on board anyway and just watch him, you know, twitch at the steering wheel through no name there. I think that red bar at the top of his MFD there is virtual energy, I'm going to say. So obviously you want that. Well, that doesn't make too much of a difference in qualifying, but obviously your fuel, you want to get that absolutely right, particularly here at Spa. Long lap, which means obviously a long out lap as well, so you don't want to mess up your fuel calculations and have to go out, get the tyres up again, get the tyres up and ready again, and waste basically, you know, three minutes or so, whatever it is. Track is 21 degrees C, so quite a cool one here at what is it? I think it's morning here at the Spa.
Looks a bit sunrisey. Hard to say for sure.
Indeed. Let me have a look. Actually, the server settings, 9:30 p.m. is the race start. So currently 9 o'clock qualifying time, obviously. So we'll be getting darker, and obviously an hour and 40 in the race. Starting at 9:30 means it's going to be quite dark in the race, and the temperatures will be coming down, and that's another thing they'll have to factor in, obviously, as part of their race strategy. But Johnny Ashley, nevertheless, comes across the line eventually. There we go, 226.3, 14th overall. Let's have a look on the board. A bit of a ways down the GT3 field, but that's the first lap. It's good to get that banker lap in, you know, even if it does put you, say, 5th in class or whatever it may be. It's good to get that pressure off you, and now you can really start pushing.
Yeah, it's a long race, so qualifying's it's still important, but not the be-all and end-all. Yeah, let's go on board with Alex Shahabi, and both decent pace differential, you'd say about 17, 18 seconds between the back of hypercar front of GT3, so yeah, usual traffic problem going to be happening, especially the twisty bits.
Yeah, exactly. Especially 21 seconds or 21 and a half seconds is the difference between Angela Scotti, who resides on pole position provisionally in the hypercar field, and Christian Kiesig, who unsurprisingly leads the way in the GT3 field in 10th overall. Obviously, as the hypercars are slowly setting their first laps. Yeah, traffic as ever will be an issue if you're unlucky. If you're lucky, it's not so much of an issue. You know, there's some tracks where it's just horrible everywhere. Doesn't matter where you catch it. It's a pain. Spa, I think it's really bad, but then really good, if you see what I mean. You know, if you don't want to catch, obviously, through Eau Rouge, Radion, etc., through some of the more, faster corners, obviously, you don't want to catch them there. But at the same time, there is plenty of straight, and there is, a wide enough circuit that if you're lucky, it's fine. It's not a problem at all.
Yeah, it's definitely not the worst circuit for width, but there's some corners where you just cannot go side by side through easily. I'm curious to see what the pace difference is between hypercars and GT3s at Radion, because back in ACC days, GT3 and GT4 was horrible. Through there, the difference. Yeah, I'm curious to see that.
Yeah, it will be interesting. And luckily, we do have that kind of deferred offset starting position for the classes, so there is a bit more room for them to get settled and get through if there are any issues on the opening lap, which unfortunately tends to be the case quite often, particularly here as Alex Sharby goes very wide through onto the gravel there, particularly here where they start before they go through La Source, don't they? Before they go through turn 1, compared to ATC, which is afterwards, when everyone's kind of all on that straight and ready to go.
Is it? I did not know that, I'm doubly glad I didn't.
Yeah, well, that might catch some drivers out tonight, thinking they've got lots of time to get ready, or just, damn, I'm heading up towards the source. I'm in a field, a car park full of cars around me. It's just one of those things where, if something goes wrong, you're kind of stuck. Really. But Alex Shahabi here coming across the line, obviously previously was in 4th, remains 4th at the moment, but does improve on their time and actually gets pushed down to 5th after Nick Manders slots into 2nd.
A good lap there from Scrub. Yeah, I'll be delighted with that.
Indeed. Looking back to the GT3s, actually, let's look at Temenga, who might be on a flying lap. They are indeed. Temenga, a previously quick driver. Obviously, Christian Kiesig dominant in the GT3. You kind of have to ignore them if you bear with me and see what I mean. As mean as that sounds, ignore them in terms of qualifying, because they are so rapid, it just makes everyone else look really slow. So, you usually have to remove a second to look at the time for, a good time for the GT3 for this. Temenga pulls over. So Townsend, obviously, in 2nd. Will want to replace Kiesig for pole, but realistically, I don't see that happening, to be honest. Based on just previous pace, really.
Yeah, it's a big ask, and is 6/10 clear of 2nd at the minute. Kiesig, his rapidness from ACC is definitely carried over onto LMU's. I think this came up pretty quickly and carried on where he left off, I suppose, on ACC. Good Daniel T. Holiday starts today. Hopefully you enjoy it, man. He's currently 21st and last of the cars outside of time, I believe, so hopefully he'll be wanting to improve, but not too much, Daniel. I want to be able to catch you in the championship. Although it's the finale last week, so I'm running out of races on that. That's true. This is the penultimate round, and possibly the last of our, at least for the foreseeable, 8 race series. It's a really long series, to be honest. I think we're going to be moving to a slightly shorter one in the future, but I'll leave that to when it's all released, obviously, and everyone can have a look for themselves. Matt Townsend obviously starting a new lap. Let's have a look what else is occurring throughout the field. We've got Daniel Chevelle, again another quick driver, but this lap just really off the pace there. 1.2 seconds a miss in the first sector, 8/10 in the second, so really is struggling, it seems, here tonight. Maybe it's the cold, maybe it's just getting those tyres up to temperature. Another thing, obviously, is the GT3 drivers do still have a relatively new tyre model that they're probably getting used to, and Spa, it's probably the most unforgiving place to learn a new tyre model. Thinking about it, it's got, obviously a big mix of corners, but make a slight error in some of these corners and you're having a big off. Yeah, and in qualifying, it's only 15 minutes, so you're going to, well, what's that about? It's not many bites of the cherry, is it? Even after the hypercars. If you mess a lap up, you don't get many other attempts. No, exactly. It's between 6 and 7 laps, and obviously that's assuming you're doing one long stint
with those same tyres, a lot of the drivers reset to the pits, which is fair enough. But as you say, long lap. So a big risk to do that. Tom Watson getting a lap in as well, and just pipping Dave Spiller. So 11th in class now is Tom Watson in that Porsche. Porsche, one of my favourite hypercars, I have to say. Yeah, there's no second part to that. It's one of my favourite hypercars.
Yeah, there's not many bad looking hypercars. I think my favourite might be the Peugeot. I don't know why. But the Porsche's a looker as well.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, they're all very different. They're all very interesting, I think, certainly. BMW, etc. I don't think we've got a BMW in this series, unfortunately. Ben Shawley not usually drives them. I think has driven them previously. But Ben Shawley, speaking of him, purple sector 2 there, 1.5 seconds improvement. We'll be looking to pip Andrew Scotty, obviously, and does so. So up to pole, 7 tenths now is the gap between P1 and P2. 2 and bit minutes to go. Andrew Scotty's in the pits. Does have time to respond if they choose to, but I think for the moment, I say that, they are leaving the pit lane, peeling out, and will obviously want a superb outlap to be able to get across the line to start a new lap on time, whilst also getting those tyres in somewhat of a good position. They won't be the most optimal position after one outlap, but certainly we'll give it a go, that's for sure. And at the very least, we'll be able to do a pit entry practice, which is always essential, I think. Alex, I don't know about you, but always worth doing.
Yeah, it's you're only going to use it once or maybe twice in this race, but it's one you don't want to get wrong, especially on the smell of the long pit lane. Big time loss, but yeah, it's going to be a big ask for Scott. It's 7 and a bit tenths to find. Show this time exactly 2 minutes as it happens. Yeah, one outlap and one time lap. Yeah, it's a big ask to find 7 tenths like that.
It is very satisfying though, is that 2 minutes? So thank you, Shawley. And almost 5 different manufacturers in the top 5 there. By the way, in the hypercars. As it stands. Anyway, Athabasca purple in sector 1, but only just 18 thousandths, I believe that is. But every little helps at the end of the day. Is about a second away from P2, so it does have a very big job to do to get that done.
Yeah, it could be BMW's quickest in a straight line if Bascar's taken all the wing off. That could be why we've got purple sector 1, but we'll wait for sector 2 time to come in and get a feel for how the lap's progressing. But yeah, 1.1 seconds again. Big chunk of time to find in just one time lap.
Indeed. While we wait for that, let's have a quick peek at Matt Townsend, who is sitting in P2. A tenth and a bit away from Kiesig. Looks like they're down on their lap, so we'll go back to Bascar here. Kiesig about to cross the line for what will be their final lap as well. Will he try and extend his lead? Let's have a little look. Doesn't look to improve on that lap, so that's their qualifying. Nope, they've got another lap. I don't know why I'm saying that. They have got time for another lap. I do apologise. I don't know where I got that from. Bascar again, personal improvement in the second sector. 8 tenths off the best sector 2 though. So have to see, obviously, as they round the bus stop chicane. Tricky chicane to get right, especially if you're under pressure. Get the power down nicely. Use all the exit, which they seem to do nice and tidy. Obviously the headlights on there as it gets darker and darker. Bascar coming across the line. Again, improvement in the third sector. Not purple, unfortunately that's a lie. But remains third and gets underway just again for their final lap. Got that in just in time to be able to continue. Scotty, we mentioned them, obviously wanting to get out. They've crossed the line to start their final flying lap now. Zach Silver also on a lap. Purple in sector 1 up nearly 3 tenths worth of improvement as they come round Rivage, I'm going to say, towards No Name. This is again another tricky corner, easy to run wide of the gravel, but has that very nicely judged there, using all the exit without a millimetre of gravel, it seems, through Puan now. Obviously, let's go on board, see if we can see his delta, if it's there for us. Oh, up 7 tenths, so isn't a very good lap, and is indeed pulling over after Puan as well.
Yeah, just ran out our best there, did the right thing. Matt Townsend, there's quite a few purple first sectors coming in. So I'm not sure if that's coincidence or what, but
no, it's the number inside the box is a negative, so it's true. It is actually a purple sector, but if they're not crossing the line, obviously that doesn't get banked. If you see what I mean. So they could do the fastest sector 1 out of everyone, but if they don't cross the finish line on a valid lap, it doesn't count.
That's true. A very good point. Bonjour to Dave Wood. You're joining us from... I think you're at work, Dave? I can't quite remember. You're busy. I remember
It's
that
supposed to be at work, yeah.
Maybe watching us is harder work than his actual work, so...
Yeah, possibly. This Townsend doesn't seem to be improving. And someone's stolen his purple Sector 1 away from him. Could it be Daniel Lindblom in the placeholder car there? I don't think so, because we're not getting any information for him there. Athabasca also not on much improvement. We've got Tyler Hammer as well, who looks to be pulling over after crossing the finishing line there. Remaining... Oh, sorry, they do move up to P201. Does Tyler Hammer overall 9th in class. We'll watch Daniel Lindblom, excuse me, very awkwardly, as the placeholder car has no sound either. So a bit of an awkward one to watch, really. There's no sound, no shape. But we know Daniel Lindblom is in the Porsche, really, as well as being in a placeholder Porsche. And I was going to say would be driving the Porsche in spirit as well, but he is actually driving the Porsche, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, we'll be... We had this one previously. I don't know if Daniel has finished qualifying or if he's driving around, because we've had this happen where we think someone's still on the lap and it just flicks over to the next session.
The suspense builds.
No, there we go. See, has flicked over. We were being lied to. And we can actually see if I click this button. There we go. Whoops, that's the wrong screen. This is actually Daniel's Porsche, so it's not a placeholder one anymore. It's a nice shiny orange one.
And it's got a real engine as well, not the electric one
Yeah.
the placeholder car has.
Yeah, exactly. Not the Flintstones powered Porsche, as the hypercars pop in there to all line up on the grid. And we can see, yeah, very, very dark. Obviously, we've got an array of headlights there illuminating the field at the moment. But for how long until everyone disappears off and it becomes a race in the dark again? I do like night races. They are very tricky, but again, it's those added challenges. And I think they always look fantastic, to be honest.
They're not maybe the best to stream because you can't quite tell the difference of the cars, or you can on ACC. But this is my first, or would have been my first LMU night race. So, yeah, I mean, they're dark as much as the cars are sound tonight, I think.
Very funny. Let me... Oh, that's the wrong button. This one. There we go. So we can actually get an idea. This is another little advantage over ACC. You wouldn't have seen this, but we can actually see who the car is and who is next to that car. So we can see a bit more context. A bit annoying when they're two cars of the exact same liveries, which is always a bit confusing. But Matt Holtman's joining us as well. Welcome, Holman. Evening stream gods, he says.
Formation. A very, very high praise indeed.
Indeed.
Yes, how many cars we got starting, Sam? Is it 24?
24 total, yes.
Yeah, so...
Actually, let's...
Only a short formation lap, so we'll try and cram something in before we hit the start line.
Yeah, very nice green lights on those Peugeots. It's my quick comment. Although the Porsche, I like the Porsche headlights, obviously they're all different as well. And that Porsche in the background flashing its red lights there, I guess that's... the pit limiter coming on, obviously drivers using that to get exactly 60 miles an hour, which is obviously the limit on the short formation lap, because it's a nice little spectacle as well as they round the way through the bus stop chicane there towards the start-finish line. This is where they do start the race. They don't start after La Source, unlike ACCs, where you see all the lights flashing now like an airport, it seems. Green on the left, red on the right.
Green flag. Yeah, so you got ready to go. There we go.
Yeah, Johnny Ashley apparently is leading the way as the time board is having a real issue. Penalty popping up for Thorpe as well on the start there. Angela Scott going through turn one, trying to defend, or steal it away, sorry, from Ben Shorley. Ben Shorley going side by side with Angela Scotty, obviously 2 by 2 up towards Rouge and Brandy. And Angela Scotty seems to have just gotten ahead there as the Peugeot accepts second place, at least for now. Further back the order, it all looks nice and tidy, which is a rarity. Cadillac going wide at Rouge, cutting the track a little bit just to, keep going, pointing the right way. In the GT3 field, we've got Matt Townsend really putting the pressure on Christian Kiesig, and obviously Athabasca not far behind at all. We've got side-by-side action between Johnny Ashley and Patty Yelnick as well, I believe.
Yeah, it's a start a long run down the straight into the chicane. All very well behaved, I think, Sam. Everyone got through Radion in one piece, so as we get some door banging there in the middle of the pack with the not quite sure before the camera changed. We've got Hypercar going slowly.
Yeah, that's Tom Watson there having an issue. We may have a replay later on if there is time between these cars battling. Johnny Ashley and Petionek we saw having a little bash at each other. Jacob Hine and Alex Shahabi swapping positions, I believe. They're going side by side here towards Pooh, and obviously Ferrari on the inside. Jacob Hine in that incredible sounding Alpine, trying to hold on the outside. Slightly runs out of it, but they still go side by side towards the Fania chicane. Pulling ahead does go the Alpine of Jacob Hine. Dave Spiller now putting the pressure on Alex Shahabi though.
Yeah, just a bit packed, still very tight together. No one's fallen off the back really bad. That one hypercar, I think. Sam.
Yeah, really is
the lead of the GT3 class.
Yeah, excellent start. Really clean. It's not showing us the position changes on the timing screen, so let me get rid of that quickly. There we go. We've also got Daniel Lindblom up 2 places since the start in class there. Tom Watson, the Porsche hypercar, we saw have an issue going sail on by without an issue, but we've continued to watch Daniel Lindblom on the back of Tyler Hammer in his signature Corvette as they round their way through Blanchimont. Obviously, great place to get the job done on the brakes is the bus-stop chicane at the end there. We see the Porsche carrying a bit more speed, using a bit more of the exit, trying to maintain that momentum, trying to set something up for a move on the Corvette, but continues to stream through the chicane nice and tidy. Or does he? Drops off into the pits, goes Lindblom, maybe also picking up a penalty from the start. Indeed, he has a penalty from the start of the race. Martin Thorpe, similarly, we mentioned on the screen. So these two now actually obviously battling each other through the pit lane, because when they both come out on track, these will be the only positions up for grabs for some time for these two.
Yeah, it's going to be the slowest race on track. Limo, we're hoping to keep on Thorpe's back bumper when they come out of it. Martin Thorpe looked like he possibly had a bit of damage as well, which won't help.
Indeed. At least it's not the long pit lane either. That's awful.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking. Which one is it? But yeah, got the F1 pit lane, I guess.
Yep, indeed. As Tyler Hammer approaching turn 5, Les Combes, however that's pronounced. One of those. Cover them all off, hopefully. It's a tricky complex, really, isn't it, those few corners? Because you feel like sometimes you're slightly ahead of your opponent, but after you've come through, the right, the left, and you're approaching the right again, you end up dropping off a lot of the time, I find. Just the lines you take, you lose a lot more speed than if you were just on the normal racing line by yourself. Yeah,
it's tricky, especially when, again, I don't know if it's me not getting used to the time on log game, but the curves seem quite inconsistent with how much you can take, whether the car will be able to handle that bumpiness. But yeah, you definitely have to be careful with scrubbing too much speed off.
Yeah, certainly.
Whilst also not trying to overshorten your line, I suppose.
No, exactly, yeah. It is a funny one with the curbs there, particularly that I find that all the time. Even in ACC, you can take a lot of curb, but sometimes you end up kind of lifting the car up as these two go side by side. This is Alex Shahabi and Max Sabchuk, Porsche on Ferrari towards La Source. Obviously, Ferrari on the outside there will be able to get later on the brakes, but the Porsche comes sliding through turn 1. Max Sabchuk really locking the rears there big time. Avoids any damage, I think, other than the what will be incredibly flat-spotted tyres.
Yeah, I'll be glad of the field spread between Hypercar and GT3 because it's slid into it nicely. We've got a brilliant camera view of that one. And it doesn't pick up any additional damage, which is very useful.
Yeah, we're getting through without issue, which is always great to see, obviously. Oops. And stuck on the wrong graphic. Give me a moment. We'll watch Alex Shahabi while I mess around with this. There we go. Yeah, so he's going to be dealing with those tyres for a long time. But these two, again, a couple of drivers going side by side. Very brave to do that, approaching... they're not where I thought they were. We'll ignore that thought. But they continue to battle on. The Alpine is a car. I don't know if this comes across in-game in another car. The whine of the Alpine is so... definitive. It's so interesting. Petionek, by the way, having a big issue off here after Eau Rouge and Radion. Let's have a look how that happened. I think we can imagine it, but let's have a little watch anyway, shall we? Going up towards Radion. Oh, the rear just slowly got away from him there.
That seemed such an innocuous first half, and then pretty massive accident in the end, weren't it? You didn't take too much curve. It wasn't accelerating too aggressively, but I think that might be him done.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, it was one of those weird ones. I think with the weight transfer coming at just the wrong moment with a bit of oversteer, it was kind of inevitable where the rear was light enough that it just kept going round. And obviously we saw the result of that, unfortunately. Jacob Hine into P8 now, I believe is still ahead. Or did he get ahead from the Porsche before? Either way, here he is. And I'll just finish the point as well about the noise of the Alpine. We can just hear it there in the background, that high-pitched whine. I think it's incredible. It's very supercharger-esque. But I don't know if it comes across much in-game.
Can we get a good onboard of the Alpine noise?
We could, but when you go onboard with the cars, the noise becomes generic. So if I click this, it just sounds really... I don't know if you can hear the difference.
Yeah.
Versus...
That's disappointing.
Versus that whine. Yeah, it is really disappointing. And thank you, Dave, obviously, for resubscribing. That's 18 months now. You could have had 2 babies, but you decided to have 18 months subscription instead.
I know it's just cheaper.
That's very true and funny. Tyler Hammer just giving us the details on his retirement as well. Technical issue in real life, very unfortunate. But luckily, I say luckily, it's happened early on the race where you haven't committed 3 hours of your life and then it goes right at the end.
That is a good point. And it was a spectacular crash, I guess, by the sound of it, so that's also something.
I do have a replay in my log for Tyler Hammer. We'll watch it in a moment. I think we'll continue to watch Alex Shahabi and Jacob Hine continue to battle for now, winding their way through these chicanes. Interesting chicanes because these, you can carry a lot of speed as they're flicking left and right, defending for each other and trying to get to the racing line. Under the wing now of the Alpine is the Ferrari of Alex Shahabi. Let's go on board with Alex Shahabi behind the Alpine, trying to obviously lap up the tiny bit of slipstream you'll get, I think, from the Alpine ahead. We just see how much movement there is as well in these hypercars, kind of bouncing across the circuit in the high-speed bends. Obviously, onto the brakes now for the final corner. Careful not to lock up. We see he's on an improvement on his delta and his steering wheel, so really is pushing. Is Shahabi. Get the power down as soon as he can, but not too soon. Obviously, coming up the final corner, really easy to light up the rears, particularly on the slippy surface beyond the track for limits. And the brakes as well for La Source. Avoid that wall. Lots of steering lock there as well for the Ferrari, and the Alpine just gets up and leaves them behind, really.
Yeah, maybe it's whether it was in being a little bit poor on the throttle compared to Jacob, but that Alpine disappeared as soon as it left the slow speed stuff, so yeah. I don't think I'll be driving the hypercar next season for the first time in games, so I'm looking forward to having watched some of these on boards. Yeah.
Any idea which you might pick? Or are you just going to try them and go from there?
I think I've picked the Porsche currently, but I don't know if that's good or bad.
I don't know, to be honest. The thing is, particularly with it being so new, the biggest difference, sure there might be one car that's an extreme outlier in terms of difficulty, but I think the biggest difference is just the drivers and how they feel with the cars, to be honest. Dave saying Ferrari is the only choice because he's a mega Ferrari fanboy. Matt Holman, what happened to Peter? He had a spin at the top of Eau Rouge and had to retire, unfortunately.
Yeah, hit the wall backwards pretty hard by looks thing, and then was in the garage, so seemed like a fatal accident, unfortunately, for his car.
This is Johnny Ashley on the back of Dmitry Yaroshenko. More Ferrari action. This time it's a GT3 Ferrari. Let's get the nice onboard overlay, shall we? Let me get rid of the old track map.
This is for P4 in class as well, so yeah, vital battle really for Johnny, as Dmitry possibly picks up a corner cut for that line that took through there. Quite an aggressive cut at the top of the hill.
Yeah, seems quite aggressive. Obviously, you do have what's the word? You get to pick up a certain amount of warnings before you pass a threshold, and then that's when you get given the penalty, obviously. But they add up rather quickly. And also, by the way, looking at this onboard, it doesn't seem too dark here at night. There are some tracks which are just obviously just pitch black. It feels like you can't see anything. But here it looks well illuminated, obviously, as Johnny trails Yaroshenko through Rivage, through No Name.
It's a track with no floodlights. It's pretty well lit. Like it's a
funny one, isn't it?
Darkest night.
Yeah. Yeah, particularly as it's surrounded by forest trees of the Ardennes. But yeah, Johnny just keeping the pressure up. And obviously, we've heard from Johnny previously in the comms booth, and we've witnessed it on track. His signature strategy as Runar Bartolfsson has a moment which we will watch if I can catch it on this. Just a lazy rear spin, maybe locking it up slightly into the wall as well. I picked up some damage, I think, from that.
Yeah, hopefully not too much. It's still going, which is good. Dave Wood in chat saying Petter is currently swearing. I am not surprised after DNFing so early.
Yeah, I can imagine it's a real shame. Shame. What else have we got? We've got lots of little battles going on here. Zach Silver on the back of Nick Manders. There is a lap, a TT3 Porsche, which could be Limblom. It might be. It is indeed Limblom there, who's still on the back of Martin Thorpe. Martin Thorpe's a little bit up the road now, however. Unlike Zach Silver and Nick Manders. Nick Manders down 1 place since the start. Zach Silver up 2 places. Jacob Hine obviously behind Zach, up 4 places as well. We can just see and hear the Alpine, the edge of shot, and obviously on the back of that Alpine there's Alex Shahabi still. So a couple battles underway here, and obviously Jacob will be glad these two are battling, trying to catch up to them. And Zach Silver trying to, Nick Manders hoping, I'd imagine, that Jacob catches up a little bit and gives some pressure to Zach to leave Nick alone. I'd imagine as they go through last tours. Nice and tidy, although the Cadillac taking a slightly tighter line there as they run up through, towards Eau Rouge and Radion.
Yeah, it's some good hypercar battles. Not massive trains of cars, but pairs of cars fighting for position pretty much all the way through the crowd, I think, in the hypercar. So good going so far. Yeah. A couple of cars in the pits as well, or are they the retirees?
Those are the 2 retirees. So yeah, Petr Jelinek and Tyler Hammer in the pits. And we can see the leader as well on the track map, that little diamond. There's a massive pack of cars here as they try and get through Malmedy, I believe, heading towards Rivage. Massive pack of cars, GT3 cars. But yeah, my point was that the leader there on the track map, the Diamond, almost clear as well of the GT3 field. So lapped the GT3 field 14 minutes into the race. So there's going to be a lot of that going on, I'd imagine.
Yeah, so a long way to go. Just under an hour and a half, actually. So, yep. Lap traffic will continue to be a problem. As always on LMU.
Yeah, it is. It's something of a challenge, that's for sure. Luckily, it isn't as bad as, say, Interlagos. There's a little bit of luck there from Alex Shahabi, the rear getting slightly loose on the back of Jacob Hine, running wide onto the gravel, maybe some dirty air as well as it gets closer and closer to the Alpine, who themselves now is on the back of Zach Silver. And obviously, Nick Manders able to scarp away a little bit. We can still see him there in the distance slightly, but he's able to build a bit of a gap and leave these 3 squabbling amongst themselves.
Yeah, it's anyway, nice. It's maybe starting to break the toe. I don't quite know how far the effectiveness is, but still gives them a target to chase down, I suppose.
No, that's very true. That's very true. And I don't think the slipstream's too great an effect, especially compared to the dirty air. But we'll be wanting to take advantage as much as you can of that, regardless of how little it may be, as they all snake their way through turn 1. Something else is I've just spotted there on the Alpine. I don't know if this is maybe similar to F1, but the lights coming on the wing of the Alpine. I don't know if this is the case for other cars as well in the hypercar field. Is that just brake lights, or is that, an indication of regen? Do you know?
I do not know enough about hypercars to even suggest.
That's fair enough.
Bit of awkward traffic, but it gets out of the way just for the braking zone. And then immediately catches another car going through Les Combes. And here we go, this is one of the awkward spots to get traffic, but they go side by side. Bit of a door bang, but get through it. This will be interesting to go 3 wide through here because it's a very long corner.
Yeah, side by side it looked like. Yeah.
It does. Good opportunities in front of that Alpine. Gets stuck in. Might not pick up a position, but does put the pressure on Nick Manders.
Yeah, Nick Manders almost losing 2 places there, actually. Has lost one to Zach Silva, obviously, and does lose 2 places, maybe a third with Alex Shahabi on his tail now as well. Obviously, the Alpine of Jacob Hein going around the outside of the corner. There's a little bit of a door bang there as they obviously understeer and move throughout the corner. The Ferrari behind is waiting for his chance to grab that spot. Here it comes. The Ferrari 296 ahead, blocking the way of the Alpine. A flash of the lights, I believe, as well there. But, you know, what can you do as a GT3 in that situation? More traffic to be found just ahead. This time it's a BMW. A Porsche of Nick Manders gets along by. So does the Alpine and leaves a Ferrari getting closed off there behind them. Alpine going wide onto the gravel. It's all kicking off now as they get onto the back straight of Blanchimont. I'm going to look at a replay because that was quite something, I think. Oops.
Alpine did so well not to spin there, carrying a lot of speed onto the gravel and got out of it relatively unscathed. Good driving there.
Yeah, this is a replay. Going onto the grass is the Ferrari to avoid it. And yeah, all kicking up. Yellow flag as well for Daniel Lindblom. I think he does look like he's going slowly and rejoining on the circuit there. So yeah, very unfortunate accident. And is he missing a wing?
I'd stand the doubt, but I think you could be right.
Yes, he is.
Yep, there we go. That spin pretty much confirms it. Whoa.
We will have a replay, Daniel. You're not getting away that easily. Let's have a look. Slow rear, just coming around onto the gravel. Nearly gets it stopped, I think, into the wall off camera, which is excellent stuff. No, avoids the wall there, so is stopped by the sand and gravel. Gets going again. I think this is at Puan. Is it?
It's going to have hot rear tyres. Yeah, it's down. Yeah, I'd say it's in that area of the track.
We'll continue to watch. I think that might have been way earlier on and we might have missed the ring. So we go back to obviously live images and he's struggling to get back to the pit lane as you would without a wing. But let's go back to the Nick Manders battle quickly. Behind Zach Silver, ahead of Jacob Hein. So not totally awful, obviously, after the turn of events we saw unfold. And does indeed continue to lap the hypercar. Zach Silver has actually been caught up by Nick Manders now. Zach Finney ahead. Hypercar had stopped from third. Daniel Chevelle moves up to third. Zach Finney drops down to fourth. Zach Silver sails on by. So will Nick Manders. There they go.
Quite a bit of a quiet period of the race. The attrition rate's just starting to creep up a bit, Sam. It's a couple of mistakes starting to creep in. Yeah,
just loses the rear there as well. High speed corner as well. Big spin, and the camera again just doesn't show it. Excellent. Excellent. Just the cameraman, could you just pan a little bit to the left? But the thing is, if I had the buttons bound, I would have the capacity to do that, but I do not. So we get to imagine how the accidents occurred instead. So great stuff.
Just imagine what the accident looked like. That's good.
Yeah, exactly. There's the Porsche.
A bit of a job.
Yeah, there's the stricken Porsche without a wing. Probably going to retire, I'd imagine. Zach Finney down in ninth in class now. Nick Manders up a place, obviously, but still behind Zach Finney. Still behind Zach Silver. Still ahead of Jacob Hein as they get on to another lap at Spa. Barely been 20 minutes this race, and it's just been very, very eventful, for lack of better adjectives currently. Zach Finney does enter the pits as well, so we'll maybe just be adjusting their strategy slightly. I don't think they can go an hour and 20 minutes though, especially not on Virtual Energy, so we'll have to stop again later on the race, unfortunately. There's another consideration. Virtual Energy, Alex. So not Alex. It's Alex. It is Alex. Sorry, Alex, yeah. I'm having a moment. Another consideration. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a track you're going to save much energy on either because there's far too many straights in it to lift and curves for long and not get absolutely lose positions left, right and centre. I think you're better off committing to having to stop, obviously, and not trying to be slowed down the Camel Straight, for instance. Sure, there are small opportunities to lift and coast into corners and try and shorten your pit stop, but certainly no way of avoiding it here. No, and the lap's so long, it's probably not even worth the risk of trying to do an entire lap saving. Indeed, yeah. Jacob Hein has fallen back a little bit into the reaches of Alex Shahabi yet again as they flick their way through that corner there. Bit of a wobble there from the Ferraris. He's trying to get the power down, obviously, slightly in the dirty air of Jacob Hein as they get onto the back straight now. Oops. Some love for the way that I say less combs. Is that correct? Well, Dave's northern, so he's going to have to take whatever he can get. He's more northern than I am, which is...
I thought there was some contact there, but I think they just got away with it.
Yeah, it's very close. These two feel like they've got a piece of elastic between the bumpers. As soon as one pulls away, the other one manages to come back, and feels like they've been within a second of each other for pretty much the entire race so far.
Indeed, and yeah, a couple of things to unpack there. We've got Lindblom, I think, doing the Dutch impression of "Engine is dead." We've got Dave Woods schooling you on Leikum. I think you know it sounds like that, but it's just one of those things, isn't it? Where it's like, what does Dave say on one of the say poo shoot on this one instead of poo on, something like that? Punch on, I don't know.
I've not heard that one. I'll try and remember that, Dave. Lecoums.
Yeah,
So is that Daniel Lindblom out of the race as well, if he's got a dead engine?
Yep, Daniel Lindblom retiring, unfortunately, into the garages. He goes.
Unlucky man.
Yeah, Tamenga coming up of the hill on the back of Ralph Vest, by the way, is in an excellent position, obviously, in the slipstream, right at the beginning of the Kemmel Straight, is chasing down his Mustang. Sorry, I didn't mean to say Mustang. I meant to say American rival. It's the heat. As they flick their way through this complex of corners. Through the right-hander. Happy to back up, but the Cadillac with a major wobble there has to correct it and arrest the slide. Lets the Mustang by without too much of an issue there. So nice job there for Tamenga. Obviously for keeping it nice and tidy. Up 3 places since the start. And we'll be chasing down Yaroshenko next. Matt Townsend, by the way, second in class. Barely half a second as that gap grows. Now as they flick through towards Stavalo. Barely half seconds, or what I was going to say, behind Christian Kiesig for the lead of the GT3 field. I can't remember the last time Kiesig was under this much pressure. But then again, my memory's not excellent.
No, I think Townsend did get past Kiesig on the opening lap, but he's stuck with him since since that. And yeah, it's, like you say, it's putting on pressure. Kiesig usually just run off into the sunset. Oh, good to see a battle. Maybe it's a straight line speed of the BMW. Allowing that to happen, maybe?
Yeah, possibly. We can go on board. Actually, I'll tell you what. Let me look at the speed trap figures instead. Christian Kiesig, at the fastest point on the lap, is 1 kph quicker than Matt Townsend. Who would have thought? And actually is significantly quicker at their highest point through Sector 2.
Okay.
And by significant, I mean 8 kph.
That's fairly significant.
Yeah.
Not the longest straight in the world, but yeah, it'll still help you a lot.
Yeah, exactly. As they continue to chase her. But here's a little bit of a pack of cars. These hypercars. We can see on the map there, that cluster of cars. We obviously got Zach Silver leading the way from Nick Manders, who's just ahead of Jacob Hine, who's just ahead of Alex Shahabi, who isn't far from Dave Spiller. Dave obviously wanting to catch up to this train while it lasts and see what he can do. Up 4 places from the start is Dave Spiller, so excellent work from him. And similarly, Jacob Hine up 5 places in class from the start, so excellent job there. And I don't think it's going to end at 5 either, looking at their pace. Dave Wood in chat, Spiller the killer, he says. Very funny.
I don't think it's killed anyone tonight, has it? It's an unfair reputation
so
still, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
It's Biden's chance.
Indeed, as these guys battle their way through the corner, then through the bus stop chicane, the Ferrari in the background of Spiller. Not Spiller. That's another meme of where it's the Simpsons habit one. But anyway, Alex Shahabi was the one who made the error there through the final corner, backing off a bit from Jacob Hine. But sometimes that's what you need, that little bit of a gap, so you can get the power down when you want to and not have to worry about dirty air and build up that momentum and kind of slingshot past your opponent, particularly when they're battling or stuck in traffic.
Yeah, it gives you better signs of your brake markers and line through corners, doesn't it, as well? Giving that self a little bit of space. Can be difficult to cramp yourself right at the back bumper of the car in front, but yeah, it's still there. It's still in touch and distance.
Indeed he is, and indeed is Jacob Hine. Let's go onboard for a bit with the Alpine. Our camera car for the time being. Onto the brakes for Rivage, I think. Just opening up no name there. Get to the right as quick as you can, obviously. Hover really on the throttle and the brake. It's a weird corner to get right. And you never feel like you do, I think. As they approach P1 onto the brakes, flick it in, lots of speed, obviously. Tricky with the car ahead of you again with the dirty air pushing you wide. And get the power down as soon as you can and keep it down all the way to the bridge here onto the brakes. And again, a funny one, you kind of feel like you're hovering and just waiting for the car to slide to the right, slide to the left before you get the power down again. Don't run out to the gravel as the Porsche ahead is scrabbling all over the back of Zach Silver. Use all the curb on the exit here. And again, get the power down as soon as you can for the run onto the back straight. There is another yellow flag, and this time it is for Alex Shahabi. Running wide onto the gravel before Stabilo.
Yeah, it's a costly one, dropped him way down out of that pack of cars, and that's
Oops. That was
how did that happen? An interesting place to lose it.
There we go. This might be the right button. Bear with me. This button. Nope.
Did you lose it out of no name? Couldn't quite tell a little bit. We got.
He's having this accident forever. Onto the gravel, loses the rear, snaps around into the wall, still having that accident. Avoids any cars onto the gravel, and that's where I think we saw him. I think he is continuing. Yep. So hasn't retired, at least. There we go.
Yeah, really unlucky. Didn't think he hit the wall too hard, so hopefully not too costly in terms of damage. And he's still got just over an hour to make up for it as well, Sam.
Yeah, exactly. And we're yet to see strategy come into play as well, because the pit stop times can make a huge difference, even if it's a couple seconds. There's a couple seconds between Nick Silver, who's that? Zach Silver, and Dave Spiller. That's 3-4 places with the way that pack of cars is. So crucial to get a nice tidy pit stop, obviously.
Yeah, Nick Silver, a combination of Nick Manders and Zach Silver, I guess.
For when they crash into each other, we can just refer to them collectively as...
Or the team up for a 24-hour race if given the opportunity. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Nick Silver or Zach Manders. Zach Manders doesn't quite work as well. It's like it's one of David Bowie's maybe alter egos, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely doesn't sound like a real name.
Yeah.
Zach Manders.
Speaking of Manders, just outside of a tenth of Zach Silver. I think if he was any closer, he'd be inside them. Onto the grass, keeps it going somehow. Does the Porsche of Manders. Really, really brave through the kink of Blanchimont, obviously, through the back corner. Obviously had a turn of speed, a bit of a run, got it covered off. The Cadillac covered it off, but Porsche kept his foot in it there as Jacob Hine has caught back up again in the Alpine. Really is ebbing and flowing between these cars tonight, isn't it? They battle each other, fall back and let the others catch up again. A lap or so later, another yellow flag, this time from Ralph Vest in the Cadillac at the top
a wheel gone.
Of the hill. Missing a wheel, as you say. Let's have a look how that happened. But again, I think we can kind of imagine, maybe not, there's a car coming on by, does so. Cadillac resumes the normal racing line up the hill, clips the inside curb, and that's a slow rear spin, which we've seen time and time again.
Dear.
Keeps his wing though, but loses a tyre, unfortunately. Silver linings.
Yeah, I don't think it matters in the garage by the looks of things, so that's our 4th casualty of the night. Big bonk for the rear wing to survive, and again, didn't seem the most aggressive line through Radion, but absolutely Karkin did not like it at all. As we look up the inside, but doesn't quite make the stick Jacob Hine. Again, that Zach Silver and Jacob Hine battle rumbling on yet again.
Yeah, indeed, continues to do so. Really does ebb and flow, as I was saying, but Nick Manders now has a little bit of a gap, was what I was going to say, but no, it's very, very close, and Runar Botovsen isn't too far away, really, from Dave Spiller. Dave Spiller, again, catching up to this pack. Last lap was did the same lap time as Zach Silver, actually, so yeah, is slowly catching up.
Yeah, so again, the Ralph and Chat engine dead tag on. Apparently done with LMU, but hopefully you can calm down, Ralph. That's pretty unlucky, man.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of incidents like that with the rear just slowly going around. As we watch Matt Townsend try and catch up to Christian Kiesig. I say try and catch up. He's very, very close as it stands, but is wanting to obviously overtake him for the lead of the race at some point. Was 0.3 quicker last lap than Christian Kiesig was Townsend, so you know, does have the ability to put in faster laps. In fact, has the fastest lap out of the GT3 class, a 10th quicker than Kiesig. So really, really, you know, closely matched are these two drivers. So it'll be an excellent battle for them. I'm sure they're really enjoying that. I know it doesn't look like much on screen, but I'm telling you, you know, in those cars, they're both pushing. Kiesig will be seeing the BMW behind, seeing those lap times and seeing the gap bit closer, and will be pushing. And you kind of do this, you know, battle in space against each other. You are battling each other, but not on track, you know, physically at the same time. But there is obviously a bit of give and take there in terms of lap times as the hypercars come on by.
Yeah. Earliest pit stop, I think, unless that's for damage after that crash.
Yeah, I think it's for damage.
It's a long time to last.
Yeah. It has been stopped for over 30 seconds as well, so he's repairing some damage. Maybe some tyres, we don't know. As the hypercars try and get through past this 296, they're very risky place to do it, I think, through No Name.
Yeah, easily. Well, if you get that wrong, it's a big accident. You're going to hit something very hard, whether it's the other car or a barrier. So, yeah, fortunately got through it unscathed.
Yeah, exactly. Very lucky. Very lucky indeed. I'm just looking at last lap times, and LMU does this funny thing where if you invalidated the lap, it just shows you as blank for last lap time, and there are a lot of drivers parking with blank lap times, which means, you know, they're invalidating the laps and maybe just picking up those track cut warnings. So maybe we'll be seeing some drive-throughs as well later on the race, or maybe these drivers just pushing to the absolute limit to catch up to their rivals. Temenga, for instance, 1.5 seconds off the back of Yaroshenko on a charge. Best laps again really is quite matched, so are quite matched even. So we'll be battling each other in terms of lap times, and the gap as well between these two, Jacob Hine, Zach Silver, Dave Spiller, and Nick Manders, has grown a little bit, just over a second now. So maybe, you know, tyres are slightly going to, you know, a different phase. Maybe they're looking at their fuel, their vertical energy, thinking, oh, I need to slow down a little bit. As Daniel Chevelle has an issue there at the top of the hill. Let's have a look how that happened.
Yeah, it's going slowly, like it could have been a big one. Just another Radeon, the first hypercar Radeon victim as that one snaps.
It did snap, yeah.
But he gets away with it.
Keeps it out of the wall. Keeps it out of traffic. Just cut off there. That was almost a perfectly cut screen. But yeah, very...
definitely want to pile on the gifts that end too soon, that one, Sam. That was
yeah,
tense for the GT3.
I could go back and watch the end of that, but I don't want to. I'm going to leave it as it is.
Once again, guys, use your imagination. What else can we say?
This stream is all about imagination. As we don't have to imagine, followers, as Sicko Mode 77 joins us. Thank you very much for following. I hope you're enjoying the racing. I am. But yeah, we'll have to certainly get new tyres, I think, after that. So it keeps out of the walls at least. So he's able to continue as we see there. Actually, Daniel Chevelle, considering he had a big spin there, it's still in third.
Yeah, that's good going. And it's got an 8-second gap-ish to scrub.
Should we have a little look at, see if there's, you know, much vibration. We can kind of see the car jostling about the place. But has lost over 10 seconds, as we can see on his dash there. I suppose we'll see when he gets onto the brakes for the bus stop as well, whether there's much in the way of major flat spots that are uncontrollable. No, keeps it all nice and tidy so far. Great job then, I suppose. Well done. Nice car control. Up 2 places since the start is Dan Chevelle, leaving Manders obviously to play with 4th where he began the race, and now actually has been backed up into the traffic of Zach Silver, Jacob Hine, who have all bunched up again. I was saying moments ago, you know, the gap here was over a second each But again, here comes the traffic, and there goes the gaps, it seems, as they approach La Source. Side by side, Porsche of Manders on the inside. This is obviously from 4th position. Zach Silver with a bit of a cutback, bringing Jacob Hine along with him in tow as they head up towards Eau Rouge and Madion. This could kind of dissipate any advantage you had at La Source if you have to kind of back off from the driver ahead of you, but looks to be nice and tidy. Tucks in goes the Cadillac, waits for the long Kemmel straight to maybe pull out and look for a move.
Yeah, it's a balancing act, so you definitely don't want to go through side by side, so you might want to lift off, but you don't want to lift off too much because this will compromise you at this part of the straight. Going into Lacombe and goes to a switchback, and Zach Silver, I think that is. I think he just. I don't know how he didn't get in front. It seems to have such a pace advantage over Nick Manders and had to bail out. Well defended scrub. Yeah,
and now here comes Jacob Hines slipping on by, trying to get Zach Silver, where there's trees, trying to get past Zach Silver after Zach Silver's attack. It's through before No Name has even appeared, and as they go through P1. So these three, in fact, really are having a great time out there, battling at every possible instance, obviously. Maybe Zach Silver kind of just taking that moment to protest. As you say, what happened there? I was ahead. I had this turn of speed, and suddenly the Porsche comes on by and takes it back again.
Yeah, brilliant back and forth racing, as we've seen all night so far. Long may it continue.
Indeed, and an hour plus it shall continue, but Temenga here has caught up to Yaroshenko. This moment has been approaching for some time. Up for place since the start, looking for another one as well. Mustang on Ferrari 296. Mustang, which I thought had a high top speed, but I think I was disproven, shall we say. But on the back of the Ferrari 296, which certainly doesn't have the greatest of top speeds, as they approach the bus stop. Ever agile is the Ferrari, though, and I think that's something it has over the Mustang, at least.
I'm not too sure, to be honest.
Indeed. And they're not at the bus stop either, sorry, they're just going through Stavilo, so just getting all mixed up tonight. So looking at this speed trap, the 296 does have the advantage over the Mustang, but again, different setups, as you say. Maybe there's less wing on some of the setups. Maybe they've opted to have a bit more downforce to make it easier throughout the rest of the lap. Matt Townsend has also backed off a little bit from Christian Kiesig. Gap there is about 1.5 seconds. So just biding the time for now, looking after those tyres a bit more perhaps, as we look back at Zach Silver in the Cadillac, who maybe still is thinking back about what he could have done differently, which is often something you do in a race where you're learning, you're adapting, you're registering how the driver in front of you behaves, how the driver behind you behaves, where they're strong, where they're weak, and where you can improve. So lots of information for you to think about, but also thinking about pit stops. I believe historically it's between about 50 minutes and an hour is the window. Spa, that might make it slightly different. Usually the one to look for is Scotty. They are most on it in terms of strategy. So Scotty, that's the kind of marker. If they dive in before everyone else or after everyone else, then everyone else has got it wrong, basically.
I know we don't have tyre warmers in on this one, but is undercut or overcut a thing on tyres?
It is, yeah.
Tyre changes.
No, it certainly is. And you also have the aspect of there's pit lane collision. So if you go into the pit lane when everyone else is wanting to go into the pit lane, you're going to have to be compromised with manoeuvring around a car, not be able to beeline your box, or dealing with traffic, or the possibility of you picking up damage from someone else knocking into you. Whereas if you're slightly offset with your strategy, you do have the overcut, undercut option, that to factor in, but you also have the clearer pit lane, so there are little things like that which they add up. So yeah, certainly, I wouldn't know what's better here, undercut, overcut, without thinking about it too much. Again, Scotty's usually the marker for strategy, to be honest.
It's interesting because, we have seen people get caught out, particularly at the start of this championship, where those of us used to ACC and switching over to LMU will drive through cars in the pit lane like you can, Ghost, and have a fairly massive accident, but definitely a consideration now. Yeah,
they're usually the most comical accidents as well, because the other driver just drives straight into it, like just aiming for the other person, but they just didn't realise collision was a thing as these two get onto the brakes. Dave Wood just saying, just over fuel like me. You drive around with a swimming pool worth of fuel in your boots. Excellent strategy there. Thank you for your contribution. To be honest here, I think because the lap is so long and there's so much room, it wouldn't be wrong to stop early. You know, you're going to find yourself in a gap. It's not going to be too much of an issue with traffic. But then obviously it means you're going to be carrying out a bit more fuel than everyone else. And then it also means you're risking at the end having to do a bit more of a fuel save run. Whereas if you go out as long as you can, it's slightly easier to do the maths. And you're ultimately carrying less fuel because you're not putting it in whilst also carrying a fair bit of fuel. You're putting it in after the fuel's obviously burnt away a bit more. So it is an interesting aspect. Also, another thing here, temperature, which does affect fuel consumption, obviously, because air density or whatever. It just has a factor. So the later they go, obviously the track temperature is falling. It's now 18 degrees, so 3 degrees lower than qualifying, which is considerable. So that to consider as well.
Yeah, again, long race, so these are all considerations you have to think of. And first, I think this is the first dawn or dust race. This will be the most noticeable temperature change, I think, of the championship.
Yeah, certainly will be. Certainly will be. But yeah, everyone's doing a great job so far, because obviously we've had 4 retirements. A couple of those have been kind of technical issues as well, unfortunately. But yeah, everyone's doing a great job, really, in the dark at Spa. Luckily, there's no rain. That would be really the pinnacle of chaos, really, I think. But yeah, everyone's doing a great job.
Yeah, rain is my nemesis on this game. Still not finished a race in the rain. So I've got that to aim for next season.
Yeah, it's incredibly tricky, especially with the, mainly just with the braking. It's incredible. It's hard enough as in the dry, trying to manage not locking up and having the right amount of pressure throughout the corner and at the entry of the corner and for how long and all this stuff. It's going to be takes some time to getting used to. But we watched Jacob Hine. We go on board with Jacob Hine, going through No Name there, hovering through towards the exit there. Lots of steering lock as well on that car, it seems. Maybe that's the norm. I like to have it slightly less of a maximum range personally, but each to their own. As he comes through P1. Another thing I've noticed as well is the lap times. Obviously you've got the tyres at their peak, and then you've got kind of the majority of your stint there in a different phase. There's such a disparity in best lap time versus average lap time. They're usually 2, sometimes 3 seconds difference there. It's quite interesting. As Ben Shorley dives into the pits, the second to stop in the hypercar field. Obviously we saw Shahabi, Zach Finney stop earlier on to repair some damage, but Ben Shorley in the Peugeot surrendering the lead of the race, really, and letting Angela Scott reign free there for now. Comes across TT through traffic, and obviously this is crucial for Scotty. You don't want to get caught up in traffic that Ben Shorley wouldn't have been caught up in, because then you have that disparity, and usually when you have to deal with cars, it's they have to deal with it too, so it all evens out. But this time Scotty is going to be able to put the pedal to the metal as Jacob Hine also enters the pits. Dave Spiller joining him there in the Porsche.
Just make me wonder if Scotty will stay out much longer, or if they've even got enough fuel to stay out much longer, or if it is just a one lap extra they're doing on this first stint.
Yeah, let's look at the steering wheel for the fuel. It's one of those numbers, but what we also can do, so professional. What we can also do is click this button. It'll tell us the energy remaining, question mark, if it wants to work. Oops, wrong one. Let me actually do it this time. This button. Energy.
Still in the suspense.
Yep, there we go. So Scotty's got 10% virtual energy, yep. Which usually is attuned with fuel. They kind of get it to be 1-to-1 if they can, just to make things a lot easier when you do your calculations. And obviously you don't be carrying any more fuel than you need. And similarly in your pit stops, you don't want to put in any more virtual energy than you need, because it costs time.
Virtual energy does cost a lot of time. Pit stops, so that you have to get that pretty spot on, otherwise you're going to harm your chances too much.
Indeed, and Silver here with the lowest virtual energy in the field. Nick Manders, actually. Forget about Zach Silver for a second. Nick Manders having an issue.
Yeah, let's have a look at that. That Nick Manders out of the race as well from this one?
We'll have to wait and see. It hasn't shown him as retiring yet. dealing with the traffic. Just gets caught out with the wider line. Nearly picks up the Mustang as well as they go through the Fania chicanes, I think.
That was a very ambitious line to get past the GT3 there, because that was not somewhere you want to try and get past, was it?
No,
right in the vortex of danger.
Indeed, yeah. Remains fourth for now, but obviously with cars pitting, it kind of confuses where he may really be. Will probably be coming into the pits. No, continues on his way then.
Yeah, tyres will be scrubbed, but yeah, scrub doing scrub things are going to do.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw in the Discord earlier, Sam, but we were trying to get a Dutch language stream set up for future risks.
I did see that. I think we stepped to it. There's Scrub and obviously the Joy Schreier and a couple others. I think that'll be the funniest thing. Even funnier still is, so OBS and Twitch, you can have separate audio tracks for the live stream and the VOD. So what you can do is you can have a stream in English, and if you set it up correctly, you can have the playback be in Dutch, if you like, if you know what I mean. So just to really confuse everybody, or similarly, you can do it the other way around, just to make things absolutely hilarious. Just to gaslight people, because
David with a great point, Al. If I can find the map I saw online, I'll post it in Discord. The northeast Belgian. Yeah, just to surprise people. Maybe do it at like 5 AM on the next time we do a 24-hour race, and yeah, really surprise people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's so funny. A couple obviously GT3 cars we're looking to pit as well. There is virtual energy for the GT3 cars, as there's a penalty shown on screen for Chevelle, who will have just done their pit stops. No, they haven't. So they've got a penalty for track limits then, I'd assume, in that case. But to finish the point quickly, GT3 cars also have virtual energy they have to manage, but it doesn't show on our overlay, unfortunately, so we can't look at those. Sometimes if we go on board, we can see it on the steering wheel, but we can't. There's no way to look at everybody's all at once. That's Matt Townsend pits.
Not to point this out too much, but it's interesting to see a few bugs. This has been my first LMU commentary stream.
Yeah, there are a few, and yeah, they're a little bit annoying, but it's alright. It's alright.
Yeah, it still looks pretty damn good.
We're not one to complain as the British, are we?
Definitely not.
Ben Shorley returns to the track then. Andrew Scott still out on circuit. We see them there coming up to Les Combes, or Les Combes, or Les Combes,
Leslie Combs.
Leslie Combs, 10-5, whatever it is. Depending on how many corners over Rouge and Radion are. I don't know.
I don't know. Like the Austria track, turn 2 is not turn 2, it's a straight. Don't lie to everyone.
That's true. That is very true. But yeah, Adjun's still on track, still going along with a bit more virtual energy than the other cars. Although I think they've got about the average, but a lot of the other cars electing to stop. And this will be very interesting because there is going to be a bit of an offset there between Scotty and Ben Shorley at least, but certainly the rest of the field. And we'll have to see how that all works out. And sometimes those differences in strategies don't become apparent until nearer the end of the race, where there is a bit more of a tyre difference. If they've changed tyre delta, difference in fuel, or one of them's fuel saving, one of them's not. And if they've managed to do a shorter stop than their opponent, so have to wait and see. And obviously traffic, again, so different. If you're out an extra lap and you get horrendously unlucky with traffic, it can really cost you.
Yeah, that's part of the lottery, I suppose, especially with traffic in a hypercar. As this could be a nasty piece of traffic if that GT3 is up to pace, because they're going to be going side by side through Radion, possibly. Up for position as well, Johnny gives him a little nudge and gets through into 18th.
Yeah, which pushes Temenga further away from Matt Townsend, who obviously he was ever getting closer to. Temenga now down to 19th overall, and 8th in class, I believe.
Yeah, quite a thin GT3 field at the minute, Sam. All the DNFs have been GT3, so that's really cut that field down to size.
Yeah, it really has. And Alex Shahabi also getting past Runar Petovson on the Kemmel straight, so excellent job there. Dave Spiller has left the pits. I don't know why he's telling me he's leaving the pits. Has left the pits. Andrew Scotty, however, is in the pits and has stopped for some time. Let's have a look. Ben Shorley stopped for 51 seconds, spent a total of 1 minute and 17, give or take a few tenths, in the pit lane. Let's see what Scotty's doing. So he spent so far 50 seconds
And to stop then.
Yeah, so almost 2 seconds longer than Surely stopped. So a difference in strategy there, perhaps maybe difference in fuel. Dave in chat mentioning Scotty's trying to do a one-stop, might manage it. Maybe. I've honestly got no idea about fuel tanks and strategy. I always get it completely wrong, to be honest. But despite the difference in stop time, only is a second slower in the pit, so maybe having a better entrance, better exit, etc. than Ben Surely. So mitigated that difference slightly, but still is, you know, ways away from the lead. 38 seconds gap there to Surely. So a few seconds isn't going to make much of a difference in the pit lane.
Well, that's quite interesting then by what Dave's saying in the chat. Scotty trying to do a one-stop, might manage it. That implies it probably should be a two-stop then.
That's true. I think a two-stop's an unusual strategy compared to in terms of the series so far. I think there's only been one stop to the hypercars, if I remember correctly, but again, I could be totally wrong. But yeah, very interesting.
It tends to be a one-stop, especially for GT3, but...
Yeah. Martin Thorpe stopped, there you go, up on the jacks in his Mustang as well. Tim Bob. Someone mentioning, is Tim Bob feeling okay? Maybe. Here he is going through the chicane. Hasn't stopped yet either.
Do we have reason to think he's not feeling okay?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Hopefully he's okay. Hopefully not struggling with the heat too much.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully. It is quite warm. I'm melting, if I'm honest. Yeah, let's not ask about, is Tim Bob okay? Are we okay? Are you okay parking?
Yeah, it's warm, but I'm okay.
Yeah. So apparently he's normally not last, that's all. Interesting. Well, he's not last as it stands. Martin Thorpe is behind him, obviously, after serving his penalty at the beginning of the race. And surely we'll need to do another stop again. Dave hypothesizes, theorizes, predicts.
Yeah.
One of those. Let's wait and see. Honestly, every time I try and guess what they'll do, I'm majorly wrong.
It's keeping everyone guessing. It's not a bad thing. Not too predictable. Yeah,
exactly. As once again we've got this kind of squabble amongst this cluster of hypercars. Alex Shahabi here, not too far away, of course, from Dave Spiller, just ahead of him, who unsurprisingly isn't too far away from Nick Manders either, just ahead of them. And Rudolf Bartofsson has joined. Okay. What just happened? I don't know if you caught that.
No idea.
Okay. I don't know if that was if it was a network thing or what, but interesting. Either way, Rudolf Bartofsson has joined this pack. Dave Spiller darts. Okay, he's dropped down to 9th. I don't know what's going on with Dave Spiller's internet, but there he is. Alex Shahabi closing in on Nick Manders towards their source. And obviously this is the place you want to be to get close to someone, because here comes the long start-finish straight, which you can use to... Not start-finish straight, sorry. Will be the camel straight eventually.
We'll get there. If you say camel straight enough, eventually it'll reappear.
Yeah. Let's rename all of it. So here's the Camel Hill for Origin Radion. Camel Hairpin for Turn 1.
Camel pit lane, camel sweeping curves.
Yeah, exactly. But Alex Harvey sticking with Nick for now, just biding his time, I suppose, waiting for an opportunity, waiting for a mistake. Here does look like an opportunity, a bit of a move there from the Porsche, actually, a bit of a late move, I must say. Alongside goes Alex Jahabi, does have the BMW ahead of him now. It was going to be compromising the Porsche, but instead has compromised the Ferrari. Both these two stopped behind the cork in the bottle, which is the BMW there. Not quite sure who that is, unfortunately. Either way, both these guys stop. Is that Matt Townsend? It is Matt Townsend. Yep. Who is P2 in class, obviously. Eventually the hypercars get on by. Runa Butterson on the back of Nick Manders now instead of Shahabi. Those guys have all swapped and changed, obviously, whilst we were looking at the BMW. Yeah, Nick coming from mountains of pressure from endless streams of hypercars behind. Alex Shahabi in the background making a mistake, running wide onto the gravel outside of Pool 1, obviously.
Yeah, this battle has rumbled on and on and on in the hypercar. Absolutely brilliant entertainment for the stream. I don't think it's been more than about 10 seconds to these four cars. Damn, it's been a brilliant watch.
No, and Nick Manders has just dropped behind behind Runar, and now Dave Spiller's on the attack, and Jacob Hine, not Jacob Hine, sorry. Another Porsche they're trying to get involved. That's Dave Spiller actually taking a different approach to the chicane. Alex Shahabi approaching Nick once again at turn 1, but this time down one position in class, obviously. Let's go on board and watch this then from Dave Spiller's car. Approaching Oak Ridge. Obviously all these guys lining up single file for this sequence of corners. The Ferrari ahead cutting that massively. So, you know, picking up those penalty points. Maybe even need to lift.
Must be not too harsh, because we've seen some GT3s spin out from far less curve cutting than that one, what we just watched. But yeah, that one fortunately unaffected.
Yeah, it is. I think it's mostly luck, to be honest. There's probably one tiny point on that curb where it's really unfortunate if you hit it at that particular time with the weight transfer and the steering and everything else. But yeah, cutting the corner goes to Ferrari. Has got Dave Spiller ahead now, as we saw, so maybe having to lift to avoid any penalty, or just having less of a run, really. Then the Ferrari, Nick Manders, again, pulling out that little gap while these two have a little squabble, but has dropped back a fair bit from Runar Botofsen, who's up 4 places. Nick Manders down 3 places, so it's going from bad to worse, really, for Nick, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's the trouble with pack racing. One little mistake and you're in a lot of trouble. Not just one position you lose, but just start to tumble down the order pretty quickly.
Yeah, indeed. Let's go on board with Alex Shahabi.
Really interesting his wheel inputs, because he's really hacking at the wheel like I don't know. I wouldn't associate with a high downforce car like a hypercar.
No, I think there's just a lot of movement, and obviously as the setups, they may have less downforce, and they're trying to compensate for that. Is really hard on the brakes, lots of steering as well. Oh my goodness. Something to mention as well on this overlay, the throttle input on the right of the green thing. Occasionally when these 100% throttle, it will show us 50, so we can see it draw down there to 50% throttle or whatever it is, but it is still 100% throttle, just to confuse things. Yeah, interesting to see the brake inputs as well as they bleed off the brakes. Obviously, add in the steering to avoid any lockups, and just drop back a bit off the Porsche of Dave Spiller as they approach Oak Ridge and Radion. No lifting here, obviously. Even upshifts mid-corner. That's interesting.
Yeah, having only seen that on board a GT3, that was real. It feels like it's on fast forward compared to the GT3s up there.
Yeah. Well, let's watch Matt Townsend go up Oak Ridge and Radion, shall we? Matt Townsend 2 seconds off the lead now of Christian Kiesig, who's obviously maintained that gap after the pit stops. But we'll watch the GT3 go up Oak Ridge and Radion, and somehow it looks a lot darker from the GT3s. Obviously a slight lift. We hear the revs bog down a little bit. But yeah, you're right, it is like a little bit like watching it on slow motion.
Yeah, hypercar made short work of the GT3 through that. As the hypercar flashes someone in front of another GT3, I suspect.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. And actually, we can see Dave Spiller here, and has Alex Shahabi in their rearview mirror on the right, getting closer and closer. We saw the braking of Alex Shahabi, and we can see the effect of that visually from Dave's perspective as he comes alongside Nick Manders.
Great side-by-side race, and maybe a little bit of contact with it will squirrel out that corner, and number 4 Manders going to lose out again, not for the first time on stream, as he gets passed by, I think, Shahabi, or maybe they're going to go side-by-side through here, which will be risky. Shahabi gets through just about.
Yeah, not the best angles there, but Nick Manders then down another few places. That's P9 for Nick, so slightly lower than his P4 qualifying. So yeah, not ideal really.
No, he has had a bit of a rough night to scrub on stream anyway, because every time we go to him, he seems to lose out on either make a little mistake or have a little wheel bang like that and lose a position or two.
Yeah, seems that way. Ben Shorley lapping 202s, by the way, 202.1. Just for some context, Nick Mander 206. Shahabi 204, and the average really is about 204, so slightly slower lap for Nick there, but you know, astonishing laps consistently from Ben Shorley in the Peugeot. And let's give it some love for a lap or so. Oh, he's on his own there actually, so free air, no GT3s to worry about. You can see the track map, no GT3s for a long time, so he's able to put these faster laps in, whereas maybe other hypercars struggling with that traffic.
Yeah, but I suppose the question here is, he's got a 46-second lead, but if Dave was right, surely we'll need to make an extra stop, which should put Angela Scotti in front, I think.
Let's have a little look at the virtual energy, shall we? Surely 50%, Silver, oh dear, 26%, Finney 16%. And again, so everyone in the hypercar field, except for Dave Spiller, apparently, has... Oh no, sorry. I think Spiller has stopped. I think my timing screen's wrong, but everyone in the hypercar field has stopped then. So Finney, for instance, has either got some calculation terribly wrong, or is... I don't know how he's using that much energy, but it is quite low. No. Silver, similarly.
Unless they just thought, well, we're going to have to stop twice, so let's just flash and dash twice, maybe. That's
true. No, that is true. Surely 50%, Scotty 67%, so a bit more than the average there. Savchuk 74%, but is currently in last position, unfortunately, in their class. Shahabi 36%, so a bit of a difference really there. So not one strategy for all, it seems. Maybe there will be some 2-stops and some 1-stops. I'm never very good at calculating the virtual energy requirements. Again, Scotty is superb at that. Let's say, well, let's see when it updates. Actually, this was Ben Shorley we're on board with 49%. I think it's about 3% a lap. Very wide there at the exit.
Yeah. 37 minutes. I mean, I feel like just over 1% a minute's ambitious.
Yeah, I think it's closer to 3% at least. So a lot. 3% a lap. 24. I mean, maybe Scotty's got enough. I don't think Shorley has though. Then, so Dave might be right in the chat.
No, and if you were with the pressure you put on Scotty's strategy as we've got, Savchuk in trouble at the last corner. Gets out of the way nicely, doesn't hit a wall, and gets underway in 12th position. Let's see how that happened. The Spectre could be through taking too much curb.
So there's a GT3 as well. Onto the brakes, goes deep at the bus stop. Gets the throttle on, onto the curb, just a bit too much too soon.
Too easily done.
And again, the graphics haven't updated, so there we go. Another squabble amongst Nick Manders and his peers, it seems.
Side by side through the last chicane. Oh, a bit of a door bang. No spins there on the exit curve. Manders and Shahabi side by side over the start line. Oh, Shahabi looks to the inside. I thought it was going to pit manoeuvre in there for a second. And Shahabi has been switched back by Scrub. Very nicely done. Good defending there by Scrub. Maintains that 8th position from Alex Shahabi.
Yeah, great job there. And, yeah, they've continued to battle anyway. Alex Shahabi up and down this field really, like a tradesman on a ladder, isn't he? Nick Manders on his way down more so than up, so not a great race so far for them, unfortunately. Great qualifying, obviously, but just doesn't seem to have that race pace, and he's just getting really unlucky, it must be said. You know, he comes to battle a driver, and sure, he might defend against that one driver, but the other one in tow, when there's a three-way, just slips on by both of them, as there's another yellow flag, I believe this time for Anton Temenga in the Mustang. Luckily has his rear wing, but let's have a look how that happened. I think that was that poor one as well.
Yeah, looked at nice big run off there, and Portuguese out the wall. Yeah, let's get a replay. Just too late on the brakes, I think, as the rear end can't handle it.
Yeah. think he just avoids that inside wall. Here comes the 260. He's fine there, and obviously with the runoff on the outside, that's also no risk to the car as well. Townsend dropping off a little bit from the lead. Christian Kiesig there. Last lap slightly slower, half a second. But yeah, that adds up. 2 laps, that's a second. 3 laps, that's 1.5 seconds. So yeah, quite ways away as it stands, but luckily has a fair amount of room before Athol Pascal makes appearance. 28 seconds away is Athol Pascal. And Daniel Chevelle, by the way, moving up to 4th as Zach Finney pits.
Yeah, so that'll be the first of the 2 stoppers, then Zach Finney from 5th. Yeah, no weather on this race. Sam, just fuel is the only consideration for tactics here.
Yeah, and what Zach Finney will do for us as well, his time in the pit lane for the splash and dash, wherever, the second stop, that will give us the gap. Angela Scotti will need to be within Ben surely, no pun intended, to make that work, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, surely is pulling away, because that gap was about 45 seconds not too long ago. It's now up to 52, so yeah, Scotty will, well, need to be ahead after the pit stop. Based on that pace of the last stint.
Zach Finney pulling away in his Toyota, spent 52 seconds stopped as the yellow flagging out for Temenga. Where is that? That's outside La Source. We'll have a little look at that, how he did that. That's unusual. Maybe just got the power on too soon. But 1:18 spent in the pit lane was Zach Finney, which is very interesting because that's the amount of time they stopped in their first stop. Very interesting. But either way, if it is 1:18, the gap between Scotty and Chorley is less than that, way less than that. Ooh.
Yeah, significantly. Ooh. Maybe that's just a cooked rears from the last spin, maybe?
Spot the difference as well. Missing a rear wing is Temenga.
Ah, yeah.
Now, anyway, as he's halfway up the hill. That's an angle, isn't it? Jesus.
Very intimidating.
Yeah, pulling over. This will be a hard lap to do if he chooses to continue around without a wing. Incredibly hard to do. I'm not sure that pit stop's representative, to be honest, for Zach Finney. But if it is, you know, as we say, Scotty, if they can pull off the one stop, looks to be the right call then, and will have jumped surely in the pits. I mean, they are so far away from surely that you have to think, are they, you know, fuel saving? Are they lifting and coasting? And would that explain the lap time?
It's very early to be lifting and coasting unless they are absolutely confident they know what they're doing. Because if they end up doing one extra lap, they're in trouble. If the time is just slightly off. Well, like we mentioned earlier, Sam, just a sheer length of the laps, a major obstacle to, you know, fuel-saving tactics.
Yeah, no, exactly. But, you know, is it the long game where you fuel save a little every lap and it adds up before having to, you know, a massive lift at the end? We'll have to wait and see. We like to speculate, and that's all we can really do. But these guys battling, there's no speculation here. Nick Manners has just lost another position to Alex Shahabi once again, and Jacob Hine also getting past Nick Manners. How many times has Nick Manners lost a place to Alex and Jacob and Dave Spiller tonight?
Yeah, I think if you were doing a shot every time that happened, you'd be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not
I thought we were just going to have a look at the inside there, Sam, but I'm glad you didn't, because that was never off.
Yeah, exactly. Dave making a very good point in chat. Scrub is trying to fuel save too. Did he tell you that? Is that what he told you? Is that his excuse tonight? We'll have to wait and see. We could go on board with Nick and have a little look if he's lifting very much. Inside the Porsche with the endurance light on, obviously. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of coasting through that corner, so we'll have to take your word for it, Dave. I mean, we'll have to... Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at his delta on the wheel. It was, what was it, 7.5 seconds up?
Yeah. That's very true.
So he's losing a lot of time, so it definitely has to feel like it's worth it doing all this fuel saving.
Yeah, exactly. And if we wait and see which of those numbers go down, we'll know the fuel. That's what we've done previously. Because I don't actually... Oh, hold on, I just had an idea. I do have a button that zooms.
Enhance.
Yeah, there it is. I found
Enhance.
it. I don't think any of those numbers are fuel. I think that's a stint on the top left. Either way, though.
What's the
fuel
59? It just ticked down from 60 to 59. The bottom left.
Yeah, I mean, it could
to-
be... Hold on, let me do this one again. Energy...
I think it is the bottom left. It's now 58.
Oops. Energy remaining. So where's Neek on this? 51. So yeah, it's not energy. Interesting. Okay, we'll go with fuel on that. I think fuel energy is the bar on the right, but that could be battery, not purchase energy. Either way, it's fuel saving apparently. What else we got on track? The GT3s are kind of settled down really, to be honest. Not too much going on with them. But I think that's just the nature of the track as well. With the hypercars and the long circuit, you tend to kind of just fall into that process of trying to stay alive and try and have some good pace, more so than trying to battle everyone you see.
Yeah, exactly. Not the biggest field because we've got multi-class here, so field spread's significant. So you can get away with it a bit unless you happen to be in that massive hypercar train. Having had the opportunity to possibly race in this race, I'm a little bit gutted because this would have been a nice juicy points haul if I managed to finish in GT3, but oh well, there's always next week.
Yeah. And speaking of next week, let's have a look where we are. Well, there's a bit of a lull, shall we? Sebring. I thought it was Sebring.
Oh no, I don't know that track at all. Why did I have to commentate tonight?
Zach Finney getting on past Tom Watson, by the way, in that Toyota. So great job there. The Toyota, by the way, has the highest top speed capable of its gearbox, if you're interested. Obviously independent of setup and driver. A bit of trivia for you there. At Spa, at least, anyway.
Is it really?
Yep, with the long gearing, obviously. It's considerably quicker as well. I've got a little spreadsheet somewhere because I'm that much of a nerd, but yeah. Alex Shahabi has Dave Spiller in his sights now. Nick Manders is way down the order. No more Dutchman overtakes. It's Dave Spiller next. It says 26 and a bit minutes to go. But obviously these guys, we're prophesizing that they have to stop again. Let's have a quick look at this one, if I've done that right. No, it doesn't want to show us that one either. Excellent. Will this one work? Nope. Oh, there we go. We have got tyre information. Some of these buttons work. So yeah, a difference in tyres as well. Obviously Scotty having a split between the soft and the mediums, whereas some guys are totally soft and totally medium there. So again, another difference of strategy.
Yeah, interesting. Scott is the only one to mix compounds. I wouldn't have thought this track was particularly harsh on one side compared to the other, but clearly it's working for it at the minute. Second place with a chance at the win.
Yeah, seems that way. So Zach Silver here. I think this will be a bit more of a representative stop, and we'll get an idea. But the gap is growing, obviously, between Scotty and Shirley. And another thing, obviously, after these stops, will we see Scotty pick up the pace, or will the gap be enough where it doesn't matter? Because even if Shirley spends a minute and a bit in the pits, that will only put them, say, 4 seconds behind Scotty. They won't be fuel saving, presumably. They can push, and they'll have the pace. So Scotty will really be under the pressure then, where they're trying to fuel save to the end, so they can't really defend too hard. But at the same time, they presumably want to win the race.
Yeah, because at this point you feel Scotty must be committed to the one stop. I assume that's why she's losing quite a lot of time to Shirley in this stint. So yeah, I'm just going to have to wait and see. 25 minutes left, so Shirley, do we know what their energy level is? I know we've just been through that, but
we can have a look, it's fine.
We need to have a feel for when the pit, and it must be soon, you'd expect.
Ooh, maybe. That's interesting. It's quite high, to be fair, still. Something else, though, obviously, with the drivers pitting, that does unleash Nick Manders once again to move up the order a little bit and frees up Jacob Hine and eventually Dave Spiller and Alex Shahabi to overtake him again, I'm sure. But I mean, 25 minutes to go. I'm melting, I'm sweating, I'm not even racing, so these guys will be really feeling that pressure now physically. And obviously mentally it's a lot, especially in the dark. I think you end up kind of concentrating more in the dark. You know, you really feel yourself being mentally exerted, trying to keep an eye out for those little references, trying to make sure you're not, you know, coming into contact with the GT3s, or similarly, or whatever, as a GT3, you know, those hypercars can kind of appear out of nowhere. It's kind of the think bike scenario at a junction. They come so quick up behind you, you might look in a mirror, no one's there, and then a few moments later, there they are mid-corner.
Yeah, exactly. Well, especially if you're in a situation where you lap one GT3, get that out of the way, and then all of a sudden, oh, there's a second GT3, and you've got to suddenly adapt to an unexpected obstacle that can definitely endanger catching you out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Although I suppose in these conditions, maybe the lighting helps. Not too sure actually, but yeah, the Peugeot gives a little bit of a flash to someone. Is that hypercar coming into lap? Or is he really steams through the braking zone and gets passed by somebody in a better position?
Yes, surely.
Ah,
the
see, that makes more
Peugeot,
sense now.
Yeah. We'll stick with surely for a bit.
Yeah, so that gap between Scott and Crawley over a minute for the first time now, Sam. So that's unprecedented ground there.
Yeah. Yeah, and looking at Zach Silver's stop, 51 seconds spent in the pit lane. So it doesn't look like the one stop is enough for Scotty to jump ahead of Shorley, if they obviously have the same pit stop time. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, with Scotty taking the mediums versus some of the other drivers taking the softs, there is a difference in operating window in temperature. Obviously, they'll obviously feel the difference in grip, and as the temperature drops as well, that might change. It's down to 17 degrees now on circuit, so it really is quite cold. And you certainly don't want to have a moment where you're stopped in the pit lane for too long, or you have a spin, because those tyres are going to actually cool off, and you're going to struggle to get some temperature back up into them. And by doing so, you're risking quite a lot if you push too early.
Yeah, you don't want to come across going up Radion. A lot of tyre skill on board then. You don't want to come across going up Radion and absolutely end your race so late into it. No points for a DNF in this game, unfortunately. It really is a harsh, a harsh cut-off.
Yeah, exactly. The gaps are kind of settling, was what I was going to say. Bar Alex Shahabi and Zach Silver here. Cadillac on Porsche. Yeah, sorry, Ferrari. See, biding their time is Dave Spiller is Alex Shahabi waiting for the bus stop chicane, see how things shake out when you get there. Otherwise, stick with them for the source. Taking a different approach, and that's because he's pitting. Stakes into the pits goes Alex Shahabi there. So maybe trying an undercut strategy against Zach Silver was what I was about to say. But then again, Zach Silver's already stopped, so completely ignore me. No point staying up, being slowed down by a car that you're really not battling for position with.
Now, I suppose Alex Shahabi must know if his opposition is going to pit, but here he goes. Hopefully not too long of a pit stop. As I think Finney, he's already pitted twice, hasn't he, Finney? So that'll be a position loss for Shahabi.
Yeah, you're right, yeah. And we've also got Temenga, who's retired, I believe.
Unlucky, so late into the race.
Yeah, not sure when that occurred. He is 11 laps down from the leader, so 5 more laps down than the other GT3s. So must have been there some time, unfortunately, as Alex Shahabi comes out the pit lane and Tom Watson passes him.
They've done plenty of time to get it back. Shahabi will be confident, possibly making... yeah, he should get 8th. 7th might be a little bit beyond him with that 30-second gap to make up.
Yeah, exactly. There's 20 minutes to go now, and the drivers will be counting down the minutes, counting down the corners as Alex Shahabi tries to get past Tom Watson, and does so with ease. It looks like Yeah, sometimes these 20 minutes though, as Shelby goes wide onto the gravel there, but it doesn't cost him the position, just time. These final 20 minutes, when you're looking at the clock and you go, I've got there's 10, 11 laps left. They feel like the longest time in the world. So sometimes you have that chunk in the middle of the race, it just flies by, and then you're there watching the time, wanting it to go down and down quicker, as quick as it can, obviously. But
yeah. Especially on a track like this with the long laps, if you fall out of your mental rhythm, it really can feel like it drags on because the lap count just does not go anywhere. 2+ minutes a lap.
Yeah, you look at it and you go, it was 20 minutes 10 minutes ago, why is it still 20 minutes? Yeah, you got to another lap. And it's up to 5th again now, as obviously Dave Spiller into the pit lane again. A moment for the drivers to grab some water as well, I'd imagine. Stop for 50 seconds or so. Although, that was incredibly quick from Dave Spiller, as Jacob Hine has a moment there at Lacoum, I think. Let's have a little replay. When it loads. I think after an hour in the replays, it just gives up as the lighting's getting a bit funky. There we go. This is Jacob Hine in the Alpine coming through Lacoum or whatever. It has a snap between the first and the second part, which it's a funny one because you go in with a lot of speed for the right-hander, which the car's fine with most of the time, until you get near to the exit where you want to start turning left, and suddenly it's often too much for the cars, and you find yourself snapping the other way.
Yeah, possibly another one who can consider himself unlucky. It just snapped from nothing too aggressive, too ridiculous, but yeah, the car just could not handle it.
Yeah, Jacob Hine, by the way, finds himself in last place in the hypercar field because he's had 3 stops, which is unusual because obviously we saw him P5, P6, whatever it might be, P4 even, and now down, obviously, to last place again. Although he started 11th apparently, so must have had an excellent start at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, we've completely missed that one. Don't know where that came from.
No, I know. And quickly, Dave Spiller as well. I started to mention it. Incredibly quick stop, 14 seconds, which is the quickest stop in the hypercar field by some margin. Over 10 seconds really. So a really quick splash and dash for Dave Spiller. And on that, let's have a little peek, shall we, at the virtual energy. Maybe that'll give us a clue what's going on. Let's have a look. Dave Spiller, 46. No, so he hasn't put a minuscule amount in, it seems.
Yeah, I don't even know how little energy he needs to put in for that short of a stop, because it can't have been much at all. Can't have been far enough able to fuel save for the last 15 minutes or so. Surely it's definitely going to have to pit again, isn't it? 9% energy.
Yeah, no, definitely. Scotty 30%, Bertolfsen 31%. Bertolfsen, another sneaky driver, maybe going for the 1 stop, up 7 places since the start. Finds himself in P3, obviously. And plenty of Vert's energy left so far. I mean, we don't know exactly how much they will need. If anyone in chat knows how much it is per lap, please inform us. But looking like a sneaky winner here is Bertolfsen. Zach Silver obviously has stopped twice, so leads the way in that 2-stop strategy as it stands.
Yeah, Bertolfsen almost having the perfect race. Not featuring on the stream much, not really made any stunning overtakes. So just suddenly randomly pops up in 3rd position, and we've got a nice 5-second cushion to Zach Silver. Yeah. Good strategy, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. Gaps have grown a lot now in the hypercar field as well. Everyone, I think, is cruising in their rhythm now to the end, seeing what shakes out, seeing if drivers make an error, which is so easily done, particularly at this point in the race. They've been on the tyres for a long time. They may be mentally tired. Might be some more distractions creeping in. And obviously GT3 traffic makes it ever interesting. Daniel Chevelle having an issue. We see him there rejoining quickly, I think, after Malmedy. Let's have a look. Actually, I don't think we won't have a look. We'll stay with the light images. And we'll go on board with Zach Silver instead, shall we?
Yeah. yeah, this is chasing down 3rd position in hypercar. A 6-second gap to that. Next car up the road is a GT3, and the car in front of them should be a hypercar, I think. Just so you go through Leku. Very awkward positions, cat traffic though for Zach. Gotta wait his moment. Should get on the next little straight, but that's cost him a couple of seconds, Sam, I think.
Yeah, it certainly has. And I just realised one of the reasons we can't see some stuff on the overlay is because I didn't click a button at the end of qualifying. That saved it. Yeah, my bad. That's right though.
I think we've done a good enough job to fill the gaps, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been an interesting one. 13 and a half minutes to go, and Zach Silver is really pushing. We can see him there faster in the first sector than anyone so far in the hypercar field, obviously. Fuel's burning off, it's another factor, but even still, tyres are quite worn, and again, that mental fatigue, you can't underestimate it. I know it's only an hour, but it's easy to become, a little bit distracted, a little bit complacent, and let your mind wander. And there we can see slower in the twisty stuff, which makes more sense with the lack of mechanical grip that he may have had at the tyres, his peak. As we come to finish their 40th lap, I believe. Yep.
Very nearly the F1 race distance. It'll be more than F1 race distance by the time we're finished.
Yeah.
12 minutes left to go.
Daniel Chevelle here, by the way, on the back of Tom Watson. Let's get this back here. Oh, awkward place to get past a GT3, but gets past. Probably has to let off the gas now to let Tom Watson back again because he overtook off track, and does so, and has a bit of a mess in doing so, I must say, coming through the final chicane.
Yeah, it doesn't cost too much time, I don't think, ultimately. Still within a second.
That's the wrong button. We'll go on board with Christian Kiesig for a lap or so, hit the Porsche noise. And a different take, obviously. We've seen a lot of the hypercars. Let's watch GT3 lap. So different. The corners seem so much longer. You're relying a lot more on the mechanical grip. There's so much more understeer as well. 33% vertical energy. There are vertical energy, obviously. There's vertical energy for the GT3, as we said. Doesn't show on the overlay, but we can sometimes see it on the dash there. We do indeed see that. Do indeed see that on the Porsche's dash there. Funny enough, this is apparently only lap 14 for Kiesig. Apparently.
It's just quite significant. I didn't think it was quite that much, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a funny one. Very interesting. Also interesting, Ben Shorley has stopped twice while we were distracted in all the onboard stuff, and finds himself 31 seconds ahead of Scotty there. Let's get the overlay back, shall we? There we go. And stopped for a mere 13 seconds. So the quickest, as I said, in the hypercar field, and not quite enough for Scotty to claim P1. So tried the alternative strategy, has Scotty. Hasn't lost anything, started second obviously, but hasn't gained anything either. Someone who has gained something, if they are able to pull this off, is Runar Petovsen, up 7 places, as we said earlier on. So really is making that work quite well.
Yeah, good going, really. Like we said, stuck under the radar a bit. Zach Silver is closing, but 5-second gap. We're somewhat confident they can hold on to that this late into the race.
Yeah, hopefully. And even if they do let Zach go, there's another 8 seconds to Nick Manders, so not a lot lost for what they've gained. And we can see, I think that's fuel level, the 55, the F level, and maybe the energy level below that, 21. I'm guessing. Although, is that 55 the same on all of the... Is that like a static thing? No, it can't. Oh, there's another 55 on that fuel. Maybe.
We'll just say yes, it definitely is.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah, we'll do that and move on. 'Cause we've got no idea, to be honest. 9 minutes to go. This felt like a longer race than usual tonight at Spa.
It does, especially because I'm already dripping with sweat and not having driven myself. It's been intense on the track and in the commentary box.
It's a funny one. I remember doing a race once where I was doing commentary stints and race stints, just like go from one straight to the other. And it was a different level of fatigue because obviously physically I'm just sitting down and I'm talking or whatever else and looking around. And it's a different level of, I think, energy. It's a different kind of energy compared to driving, but really was depleted after that.
Yeah, especially with the lack of any sort of mental or physical rest, that'll just completely sap you in, I suppose, over time.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Zach here, 5 seconds adrift from P3. 4 places up from the start though, so, again, a good job there, I believe. Johnny Ashley as well, not a driver we've seen much of tonight, which is a good thing. Usually if we see a lot of Johnny, he's usually in the wars. Up 2 places as well from the start, I believe. Yeah, it's done well to stay out of trouble. Martin Thorpe not far behind. I say not far behind, sorry, 27 seconds behind, so comfortably has a comfortable gap there to Johnny.
Yeah, again, like I said, not featured much, but P5's good. Another solid points haul. I don't think he's on course to win the championship, but still, he's just doing pretty well. Oh, there we go, right on cue.
Yeah, right on cue. Alfie Bevan obviously leads the way in the hypercar field. Alfie Bevan tonight is nowhere to be seen, really, is he? Let's see if he's even in the race of my...
I don't think I've actually seen him.
I think he's having a week off, which is fine. James Cowley, second. Obviously, we don't have him either tonight. No, we don't. Angela Scott, then, currently resides in third in the championship. Obviously, second in the race. This is going to be a fantastic result for them and a whole heap of points that may even put them right into first place. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, Aidan Carter, similarly, taking a week off. Those part-timers, unbelievable. Of course, the drivers are allowed to take a break whenever they want. But Zach Finney, also fifth. Zach Finney down in sixth tonight, so another load of points for them. And who knows, which other drivers might sneak into the top 5. We only have the top 5 available in that graphic, so let's wait and see. Christian Keating obviously still will lead after this race. Athel Baskar, however, currently finds himself in third in the race. So there might be some movement there, but there is quite a gap between them and Tyler Hammer, so we'll have to wait and see. And Dmitry Roshenko and Johnny Ashley as well, obviously, very close on points. 1 point between them, and they find themselves 1 position apart on circuit, so they may swap around on that table as well.
Yeah, quite a big cushion for those top 2 GT3 cars. But yeah, ooh, there we go. It's got a yellow flag for...
Tom Watson.
What's that? Yeah, Tom Watson. Don't know if it's the barrier, but they're certainly going slowly. Back in the way though, fortunately, and it's touch wood. It's been a while since we had any retirements at all.
Well, you say that.
Oh.
If the replay works, you may have just jinxed that. Let's have a look. This is Daniel Chevelle.
I'm so sorry.
Let's see. Doesn't get onto the gravel coming through. Oh, cuts the grass on the inside. Replay cuts off. Unfortunately, but we see him there, still on the wall, still has his rear wing, at least, but hasn't got going yet.
That was a very weird... It, just seemed to say the wrong line into the corner, didn't they? It wasn't particularly... I don't know whether they had an issue leading up to the corner, but... Yeah, strange one.
That is a strange one, and they do indeed retire. Our first hypercar retirement.
With only 5 minutes left, that is devastating, because they'll... I know it's only 1 point, but they're still going to lose out on it.
Must have had like a dead engine, perhaps. Or a tyre off that we didn't see. I mean, it's quite dark.
was a pretty hard bump as well by the looks of things. Fortunately for them.
Yeah, certainly. Alex Shahabi approaching and being approached by a lapping Angela Scotti as well, and Runa Bartovsen as well. Oh no, ignore me. Oh dear, obviously Daniel in chat, unfortunately, just filling us in. Had sweat in his eyes and then lost it on the grass there, obviously, and then the engine died. Really unfortunate. Really, really unlucky. Tyler Shanks, why are there only 11 hypercars? Because people have taken a week off, I suppose.
And it's absolutely boiling, so I don't blame him for missing this one.
Yeah, it is absolutely boiling, and the humidity is something else. So, you know, you're just sticky and you're hot and you can't cool down. So, yeah, I'm sure people will be at the pub probably. Yeah.
Don't blame him. Thank you for the first time chat, by the way, Daniel. Shame it was under quite negative circumstances, but good to have you on the stream.
Yeah, really unfortunate. Final few minutes of the race, though, and everything looks pretty much settled. But you know, one small mistake, and that's it. That's over. It's like that, as we've seen from some of the GT3s, as Daniel Chevelle showed us. So easy to have a little mistake and end up in retirement. So you have to really be on it right to the end. You can't relax, especially if you're fuel saving. You know, you can't relax too much, and suddenly you've got a car right under your rear wing. Zach Silver getting closer and closer to Runa Bartovsen, and Angela Scotti as well looks to be slowing down slightly. Do we think they've not made this to actually quite work? Let's have a look at, first of all, the energy remaining. When it wants to work, cut off. Let's have a look at the energy remaining. There we go, take 2. Nick Mander's down to 6%, Scotty 7, Bartovsen 10. So maybe that's enough. I think that might be enough. Next question, how's the fuel looking? Let's go on board for that. That's the only way we can tell, obviously. We'll start with Scotty, shall we? If I find the onboard button.
Yeah, where is... Yeah. So we're going to have, what, 2 more laps?
Oops. Oh yeah, let's have the map back on. I didn't realise I had that off. So, surely it's a diamond just started a new lap. So this may be the second to last lap. Currently 20 seconds in. Yep, there'll be another lap if he chooses to. It's going to be very close. So he can decide to lift off. Then surely this is. But, you know, you're doing the 2-stop strategy. You know others are doing a 1-stop and will be trying to save fuel. You'd surely do another lap. Sorry, no pun intended. You'd do another lap and, you know, hope that others run out of fuel. We hear and see Angela Scotti lifting so much before before turn 1. And we'll be doing throughout the rest of the lap. Similarly, Runa Bartovsen, let's have a look at them for some time, get an idea. Zach Silver's only 1 second behind. So, you know, you're in that position where you can have others lose positions. Are you that mean? I mean, I think... I mean, you don't know.
They do try to run them out of fuel.
Yeah, I think so.
Championship.
Yeah.
Ulster's really struggling because that gap was pretty stable from 5 seconds down to 3, and in the last minute or so, they lost another 1.5 seconds. They're really nervous. I think they're only down to 4.7% fuel or energy.
Yeah, I think that's energy.
Right on the line.
Yeah, I think it's energy. 4%, especially if he's got to do another lap after this. So we say it's 3% a lap, but we're guessing it's about 3%. He's still got to get to the end of this lap and then get to the end of the next lap, and that doesn't include the fuel. He might even be really low on that as well. I think that 55 is just a static number, unfortunately. Let's see how early. Wow, the lifts a good long way before the braking zone through the final corner, and ultra hesitant on the throttle here.
2.5%, so based on your calculations, this should be enough, but it's not
just
going to be
updated.
comfortable.
Yes.
Yeah, 3.1.
Let's look at Angela Scotti again, shall we? 4. So they've got enough at the end, we think, but maybe it's the fuel then. But then again, maybe it's 4% lap, whatever. But either way, heavy lifting and coasting. Zach Silver's obviously gotten past Runa. Runa is virtually stopped, let's be honest, on the Keble Straight here. Lifting throughout a route as well.
Really nervous on fuel.
Yeah. Down to 2.4
like you said,
now.
he was GT3 speed through there.
Nick Manders has to take a trip through the pit lane. 7 seconds stop, so really a splash and dash for them. Hasn't quite made that one stop work, but hasn't lost too much with trying that strategy. Only down 1 place since the start. But Alex Shahabi's not far behind either now.
No, he's knocking on the door. So Runa almost pulled off a blind over strategy, but yeah, look at that gap growing. It's gone from about 2 to 3 seconds just to this one straight. Absolutely crawling along right now. Yeah,
it really is. And still has that, up 6 positions in the bank at least. So great result, really. Tried something, it's gone from bad to worse. Has a wing.
Pretty heavy impacts, but I don't know how it's still going. That was very hard.
Yeah, and I think that's the difference of going through at normal speed with the expected downforce versus relying solely or more so on the mechanical grip and finding yourself being very surprised.
Especially on old tyres, I suppose that must have been what caught him out.
I don't think they're going to make it.
0.8.
And that obviously hasn't updated yet, but 4...
It's going to be touch and go.
It's going to be very
straight
touch
line
and
the chicane, you'll make.
That's true. But it's uphill now, so you are going to need some throttle. The penalty is so massive for running out of virtual energy. It's totally worth going 5-10 seconds slower versus a 130-second penalty that you would pick up.
Is it actually what is it? Sorry, what's the penalty for run out of fuel?
I think for virtual energy, I think it's like 130 seconds. It's mega, yeah. So
but
comes across the line.
Lap.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's worth slowing down so much. Comes across the line, has finished the race. Yes. Has kept hold of that position without picking up a penalty, so has worked out in the end for them. Nick Manders will be next. He's also across the line. He was crawling there, I was worried. Now has finished the race. A lot of the hypercars have indeed. Christian Kiesig will be obviously the first GT3 car to finish the race when he does so. Not much fuel saving from these guys. We haven't seen much of them really, but they've just been on it and consistent and not making any mistakes. So there's been kind of no reason to watch them really.
Yeah, fairly relentless. Standard Kiesig performance really, weren't it? Absolutely in control once he fought off Townsend in the early phases. Yeah. Winning margin 56 seconds in the end, so yeah, absolutely romped away with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We'll wait for this too. Wait for them to come across the line and we'll have a look at, I think, the full results. Bottovson's posted a picture in the Discord. They made it at the end there with 0.2% virtual energy and 3.2 litres of fuel, which is less than 1 lap. So very, 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 very close there.
So precisely managed, I suppose.
Yeah, none extra. Exactly. Yeah. As Christian Keating obviously comes across the line, and as does Matt Townsend. So yeah, great result from everybody there, really. Obviously some big winners in terms of strategy. And just Scotty trying to go for the one stop. Did obviously pull off the one stop, but wasn't enough to steal pole, the win of the race away from Ben Shorley there either, unfortunately. Let's put this on. And let's do... where is it? Here we go, this button here. There we go, so this is the end result, obviously. Christian Kiesig in the GT3 field coming across the line, as we saw. Matt Townsend not far behind at all. Athel Baskar for third there, another BMW. Dmitry Yurchenko coming across the line in fourth. Johnny Ashley sneaking the final top 5 position there, just ahead of Martin Thorpe, obviously. Tim Bob also rounding out the last GT3 spot with Anton Tomega, Ralph Vest, Daniel Lindblom, Peter Jelnek, and Tyler Hammer DNFing, unfortunately, there. Obviously, the hypercar field is a bit different. Ben Shorley in the Peugeot, we saw, ignore these gaps, they're not the race finishing gaps. Zach Silver claiming the final podium spot as well, away from Angela Scotti. 3 different manufacturers as well in the top 3. They're great to see. Runa Bartolfsson in 4th. We saw the mega fuel save at the end there. Zach Finney in his Toyota steals 5th away from Nick Manders, obviously, who claims 6th, just ahead of Alex Shahabi. Dave Spiller, Max Shavchuk, and Tom Watson also, by the way, all in the Porsches. Lots of Porsches in the top 10 there tonight. And Jacob Hine, again, finishing last ahead of Daniel Chevelle, who DNF'd. Our sole hypercar DNF, unfortunately.
Sorry for the jinxing there, Daniel. But good racing all the way through that in the hypercar field. Sam, love to see it.
Yeah, really good racing tonight. Obviously, we saw just an endless cluster of the hypercars just battling non-stop throughout that race. And yeah, lots of chopping and changing. But great stuff. As you said, our kind of first night race, which is very interesting. But next week, totally different. 3:30 in the afternoon on the server. A bit more toasty, obviously, as well, at the Bumpy Sebring. So I would get some practicing if anyone hasn't. Going to be very interesting. It's also our final of the series. And I think one, maybe a lot of drivers looking forward to. It's been quite a long series, obviously long races, very challenging races. But yeah, certainly been an interesting series so far. Thank you for joining me tonight as well, by the way, Parkin. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, no problem. Been good to be back on stream for the first time in a while.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, thank you everyone obviously for listening in the background. Thank you for joining us in chat. Thank you for watching. Thank you for racing with us. If you haven't already joined the Discord, get involved. There's lots more racing other than 100-minute LMU races. We've got lots on all throughout the week as well. So if you can't make Sunday, don't worry about it. We've got plenty of other days. But yeah, until next week, which is our final race, we've obviously got more LMU tomorrow and throughout the week, as I was saying. But until then, I'm going to lay down in front of my fan, Alex. So thank you everyone for joining us. Good night.
Yeah, see you later, everyone.